Good morning, good afternoon. How's everybody doing? If you can hear me, put a one in the chat, wave your hand, let me know you are live and you are all is well. Good deal. First of all, we want to thank you all for joining us for the Power Hour. And today we're going to talk about one thing that can help you not only through 2023, but through the rest of your life.
First of all, first and foremost, I want to thank you all for joining us today. I want you to do me a favor and start this meeting off by writing your intention for this event. What is it that you want to get out of this event today? And I charge you to do that whenever you walk into any room, right? Because it's so important that you get what you need to whenever you attend an event. So I love this quote because some of the greats, when I think about Oprah and I think about Dr. Miles Monroe and I think about Barack Obama, right? A lot of their stories begin with vision. And so let's talk about a little bit about what vision is. So vision is defined as the ability to think or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. I personally define vision as the ability to think and believe the plan for the future beyond any present circumstance, person, place, or thing with imagination or wisdom. And I charge you to always never be afraid to take something and make it your own, because only by seeing what's not there can you bring in something new. God gave man vision so that he doesn't have to live by what he sees. And so I want to ask you a quick question, and I just want you to throw a one in the chat. If you have ever woken up one morning next to a partner or with a spouse or in debt or around people, and you're just like, how in the world did I end up here? Like, how did this happen to me? I just want you to put a one in the chat if you've ever woken up like that. Like, how did I end up in this space? And I'm going to tell you the reason why I believe that is. It's because many people don't understand the importance of vision. Vision is important because without having direction for where you're headed, you can head down the wrong paths that are not meant for your highest good and with the wrong people. So let's get into the benefits of vision. The top 3 benefits of vision is that A, like we said, it determines your destination. It also creates discipline and provides hope. And here's why I pulled this out, because I meet with so many people who are like, they get anxious. It's like, I don't want to think about vision because they're thinking it has something to do with their future. So they're either like depressed because they're too fixated on the past, or they're like crazy anxious thinking it has something to do with the future. And it's vision, having vision is neither. So having vision helps you understand the end goal. Right? We talked about the destination. So think about your GPS and you putting in that address. It determines where you're headed. So think about like your favorite character in your book or a superhero movie. I just happened to see, Wakanda Forever, right? And throughout the movie, it took me through a bunch of climaxes. I was up, down, I was crying, I was all around. But in the end, Wakanda was forever. So it started to make me think, if I'm the superhero in my own life, then I can relax. I don't have to be anxious or overwhelmed or allow my emotions to overtake me, because I know in the end that I'm going to triumph. And that's what I'm saying to you today, that you can be the superhero in your own movie and save the day, AKA leave a legacy for for generations to come. And so I always ask people, you have sight, but do you have vision? Because you need to always be able to see further than your eyes can look. So really quickly, and again, don't worry about the slides. If you guys want them, I can definitely email them out to you afterwards. So we're going to talk about ways to create vision. And I'm only going to get into the top 2 because these are my favorites. Get clear on who you are and whose you are. I need you to get clear on who you are and whose you are, understanding that you must connect to something, a power that's higher than yours. I'm not here to tell you who your God should be, but I'm telling you, in creating and living out a vision in your life, you need to be tied to a spiritual person that's higher than you. And ask yourself, what do you want? So many people can rattle off what they don't want in this world, but I'm asking you, what do you want? What makes you happy? What makes you jump out of bed in the morning, right? What are your core values and principles? And I had to have this in here today because when we talk about vision, I have to talk about Habakkuk 2:2. And again, I started this off out by saying, I'm not trying to tell you who your God should be. I'm just going to tell you that you can find directions in many different books and many different genres of religion, no matter what. So I need you to hear me today, because this says, write down the revelation, and that's the end. We just said that, right? And make it plain on tablets so that the herald or whoever so reads it may run with it. Who knows your vision? Have you written your vision down so that someone else can understand it and run with it? My vision was so clear that Brent was able to reach out to me today to be able to present to you. Who can help you with your vision? If you've been on this earth long enough, you understand that you cannot do it alone, but you have to make it plain so that people can come in and be able to help you. And then it says, for the revelation awaits an important time. Why is that important? Because the difference between where you are today and the end is just time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it may linger, again, we said it takes time, wait for it. Or though he may linger, wait for him. And I'm talking about, this is so important because it's not on your time, it's on God's time. It will certainly come and will not delay. And so when we think about vision, we have to ask ourselves, what are we willing to stop doing today that's not leading to our vision? What do we need to start? Where do we need to compromise? And what must we keep? So I just want you to throw in the chat, what do you think the number one barrier is when it comes to vision? What do you think the number one barrier is when it comes to vision? And just throw it in the chat. What do you think that is? Anyone? You guessed it, Kimberly, right off the bat, fear. And the number two is mindset, because if you saw my previous slide, the greatest enemy is distraction. The greatest distraction is not bad things, but good things. Your husband is not a bad thing. Your children are not bad things, but they are distractions that we can use as excuses to why we're not living and creating and walking in our vision. And so let's talk about quickly barriers, ways to overcome. Number one, connect to a higher source. I said that. Get into action. Many people say they're stuck, but if you can raise your hand and bat your eyelashes, guess what? You are not stuck. Get into action and understand that fear activates negativity and lower entities, and faith activates God. Get a support system around you. Get with a coach, a therapist if needed, an accountability partner. Monitor your ear and eye gates. Let your vision guide you and not your emotions. And so I want to leave you with this. Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. When you leave this event, and I beg you to write this down, I charge you not just to think, but to write what inheritance you want to leave. What will it take to get there? Who do you need to become in the process to ensure that it happens? Because that, my friends, is the start of your vision. You have the ability to change the very fabric and DNA of your family just by making a decision today to not just write it, but to get into action to help create it. So what legacy will you leave? And will your great-great-great-grandchildren and or family members ever know that you existed? And that's my time. I want to thank you this morning for allowing me to speak to you. This is a little bit about me. I am a mom of 5 children, 2 grandchildren. I worked in corporate America for well over 2 decades, a certified vision and empowerment and extreme execution coach, as well as a professional speaker, U.S. Army vet. And I'm so proud to say that I am an author. Those are all my contact. Again, if you want the slides, just email me at info@mosas and I'll get those to you. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Brent.
All right, good deal. If you enjoy Mo, put a 5 in the chat, let her know. And I want you all, Mo, where's your book at? hold your book up for me, please. We're going to make sure you put a link. We put a link, make sure you get it, because this is not only about connection, but it's about supporting one another. And we want to support Tarnisha, Anthony, Barb. You already supporting me by being here, so I thank you. And Mo does coaching. She's my coach, my personal coach. And it speaks to the importance of one thing she said, and I said it a little differently. You show me a self-made man, and I show you a man who didn't make much. None of us get to where we are by ourselves. Even our God-given gifts and talents need to be cultivated by somebody. So make sure you get a coach. Like I said, she's my coach. She may not be for you, but she works for me. But support her by her book. Now, we're about to turn it over to the man, Anthony Edwards. When Anthony explained what his logo and symbol meant, I was blown away. But I ain't going to steal his thunder. Go ahead, bro. Drop some knowledge.
First off, hello and happy new year to all of you. I'm Anthony Edwards. I'm a youth transformational speaker. I speak with junior high, high school, college students, and I talk to them about breaking through their mental barriers to become a better version of themselves and to improve academically and socially. And I also deal with adults too, but we'll go into that later. Now, here's what I asked for you. How many of you went to watch night service or New Year's Eve service last week? How many of y'all? All right, so now that's a lot of you, right? And now you got the slogan. It's going to be God in me in 23, and will be all I can be in 23, right? Great. You wrote it down on your paper, you put it under your pillow, you put it in your Bible between Corinthians and Romans, and then you put it in your car. So when you get in your car, you can see it. However, the thing is that as you high-five 5 people and you kept saying something, you had a little issue. And folks, that issue is you didn't do what you practice. And you may ask, Ant, what you mean you didn't do your practice? Glad you asked. Now, a lot of times we can go ahead and we could say what we're going to do. But the thing is that when it's time for us to do it, we have a little problem. Now, we will speak the words, but the mind may not be all into it, or we may say something, our mind is right, but our bodies may not go with it. Folks, 67% of Americans do not have a written plan for their lives. 67%. Now, that doesn't mean that the 33% actually have a plan for their lives. No, it's just the fact that 67 is just going along with life. Whatever is man, whatever. Now, the 33%, as I said, doesn't mean that they have everything all together. Go ahead and take about 80% of that 33%. And this is a lot of us in here. This chunk here is those of us who will go ahead and we have our plans, but it's either two things. We don't start or we don't follow through. A lot of you know about that because I'm sure a lot of you dealt with that before. Now, I was reading something that said the reason why a lot of people do not follow through on what they plan is because they're overwhelmed. A lot of us have overwhelmed and we overpromise. We say yes to everything. Yes, I'm gonna be there. Yes, you can count on me. You're gonna be at the baby shower, the wedding, the boys and the girls hangout, and your boo time, right? So the baby shower's at 2, the wedding is at 3, the hangout with the girlfriends and homeboys is at 4, at 7, and then boo time is at 7. So you're kind of overwhelmed there. And that's where we have a little issue. And we tend to do that because of this ailment. You and I suffer from this ailment. And that ailment is, ladies and gentlemen, acrasia. Acrasia, the act and state of acting against our better judgment. Now, how many of you have said, yo, you know what? I'm going to go home. But let me just stop in here real quick. Let me just stop here to get something to eat. You've all done that, right? I know I've done that. And then just as you do that, you get something to eat or you stop somewhere, you get in an accident. Or if you're about to go home, you're saying, all right, you know what? I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go here because I'm going to get home a little faster. And then when you make that left, you're slammed into traffic. What was supposed to be 15 minutes for you to get home, now it's about to take you 30 to 45 minutes. And a lot of us act against our better judgment because we say, oh, no, I'll do this tomorrow. I'll get it done tomorrow. No problem about it. But the thing is that as we act against our better judgment, it causes us to continue to procrastinate in what we got to do. Michael Vick, case in point, is a great example of this. His incident that he had years ago when he was asked about if there's anything you can change, what will it be? And he always says, if I can change anything, I will tell those people, now we're not going to be doing this, or I will cut them off. We act against our better judgment. Now, here's what I say to you when we act against our better judgment is just that fact that we can end up hurting ourselves. Now, imagine your project, you have a project. Your project manager says to you, hey, look, I'm going to give you 6 months to get this project done. You're going to spearhead it. And as you're ready to start it and get on with your project, you have probably about 4 people with you. And then month 1 and 2, hey, is the project ready? I don't have it. 3 and 4, is the project ready? I didn't start it yet. Here's month 5 and 6, all right, where's the project? And you're saying, I don't have anything yet. And then here it is now, the higher ups and everybody's going to say to you, hey, listen, if you don't have this project done by this time soon, we're going to go ahead and replace you on the project, or we'll just replace you altogether. And this actually happened to somebody. There was a gentleman who was an author. He wrote some great work. And the thing is that one reputable publishing company said, hey, look, why don't you just go ahead and give us another one? We like what you did. Said, okay. Now, this guy was great at throwing a lot of shindigs. He was always Netflix and chilling and being around people all the time. And every time he's getting ready to start his project, he just kept throwing it off, pushing it off. And then the publishing company said, hey, listen, if you don't have this project done by this time next year, we're going to cut all ties with you. And again, it's a reputable publishing company. All they got to do is just sell it to somebody else, and nobody else would want to be with him. So he told his assistant, hey, listen, take all my clothes and lock it away, all of them. And once he locked away all his clothes, he decided to stay inside the house and simply write, eat, sleep, repeat, write, eat, sleep, repeat for 6 whole months. And then when the publishing company asked him, hey, is your work ready? He said, sure. Handed it in. And when they were ready to publish it, they were able to publish the book 2 weeks before its actual publishing date. Now, folks, this gentleman is Victor Hugo. You don't know him, but I'm pretty sure you've seen his work, because every single high school, college, and some junior high schools have used this work right now, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This 192-year-old piece, folks, has been derived for plays, is derived for other spaces where people to go ahead and have lessons, and also is derived the Disney movie. Right now, as we speak, somewhere around the world, somebody's rehearsing or they're about to put on this play somewhere around the world. Now, I'm not saying I want you to spend 10 minutes or 6 months, 6 months inside of your house to just go ahead and do what you got to do. No. Mr. Hugo understood that he had to put some things aside to go ahead and get on his goals. And the thing is that a lot of us mess up ourselves because we have our goals and we have like 72 things and we're trying to do it all at once, and that messes us up. However, we're going to have a strategy. Before you go out there in the midst of 2023, you got to hit and avoid being hit. Now, in the wonderful words of the Reverend Dr. Deacon Floyd Mayweather, he said it best. In boxing, you're going to hit, but you don't want to keep getting hit because it hurts. Now, I want you to go ahead and hit your small goals. As I said earlier, a lot of you have like 72 goals you want to go and hit in within just 90 days. Now, I know what Tony Robbins told you, but that's not going to work. You're going to have to truncate it and get small goals that you can hit, and avoid being hit by necessary, inept, inane distractions. Girl, did you know Nick Cannon getting another baby? Who cares if the man's making a tribe? That has nothing to do with you. Oh, bro, LeBron is better than MJ, or MJ is better than LeBron. You've been arguing about that for 10 years. And a lot of you been going at with people on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all that stuff. It's just distractions. So you got to relax from all that. Next, out punching. You got to be careful. You're trying to do everything at once. As I said, you want to hit all your goals at once. No, the one thing in any fight card is that when they see a fighter, they look at how many punches they throw, but what counts are the punches that they land. As I said to you earlier, you don't want to get overwhelmed and overpromise. So don't outpunch yourself. Next, the inside fight. You want to go toe-to-toe. No more ducking and dodging your plans, your goals. It's time for you to face it. Now, that's what it means to the inside fight. You're going to have to face up your plans one-on-one. There's no longer ducking away from it. So Our plans for out there as we go into 2023 is avoid being hit, out punching, and you got to go in the inside fight. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an incredible year for all of us. And as you are out there, go ahead, connect with me on my website, ikeptmytowel.com. And you can also reach out to me on my email and my Instagram, my Twitter. You have it all right there. And I also have my podcast, Keeping the Towel, which is on every single listening podcast. Listen, for 2022, 2021 is all right. Wipe the blood, wipe the sweat, wipe the tears from those years. But in 2023, I want to make sure you keep your towel, because in the fight game, when the fighter or the manager throws in the towel, that means they told the referee they quit. This is not going to be the year you're going to quit. I'm Anthony Edwards. I'll see y'all out there. Have a good one, y'all. Blessing for the new year.
All right. Good deal. Good deal. And appreciate it, man. Same thing. Put a chat in the chat, put a 5 for Anthony. Let him know you appreciated his time and his energy. And like I told you all, when he first told me what keeping the towel meant, I was just blown away, because so many times we want to throw in the towel, but we got to keep that towel. We got to stay in the fight. So keep on moving. Next, we have Barb Bell. And, I got to brag on Barb a little bit, because I don't know if y'all been on her Facebook, but Barb's like royalty. She was shaking hands with the president this week and hanging out with all the Congress. So should we call you Your Majesty, Your Highness? But what we going to call you? We just going to say the person that hang out with the people that matter. So next up is Barb Bell. Welcome, Barb, with a 1 in the chat.
All righty. Well, bless the Lord. You can just call me Barb. I want to stay that way. I got this funny, crazy phrase, and I'm just going to say it. I can go in the whorehouse or I can go in the White House. I love my people. I can reach people no matter where they are, right? We're never too big for any moment, any opportunity, any challenge, or any change, right? So that's a crazy way to start it, but that's true. You got to be able to stick and move and go where God is telling you to go while keeping your towel. I heard you, Ann. I heard you. All righty. Well, good afternoon, powerful people. I'm so excited to be with you today. I just switched my tech. So if you see me moving back and forth, it's video and footage and all this stuff. So I just want to make sure we set our year up to launch in a way that's pleasing to God, that's intentional for ourselves and our family, and that's prosperous, keeping all the gains and the losses in perspective. We got a great year ahead of us. Miraculous is on the horizon. God's ready to do so many great things, but we're going to come up against some things along the way. But if we prepare our year right, then we put things in perspective. So every gain doesn't blow our head up that we can't manage this year, and any loss doesn't take us out of the game and we can't manage this year. It's about perspective. So we're going to talk a little bit about being organized and structured for the win. All right, we got our vision. We know how to sit down and get quiet about that and put those 4 boxes in perspective. We got some strategy on how to keep the towel and handle the hits and the punches. Now let's talk a little bit about the structure to put it in place, so you're just not all up in the clouds of the dreams and the vision and where you are for the year, and you put some practical tools in place so that you can execute. For example, what Brent was saying about being with the president, I'm on day 4 of a new position. And in day 4, I met the president, 3 senators, I met governors, all within a 4-day time span. I sat with Senator Rob Portman yesterday, and all of this had to be structured. Meeting the president, you have to be there 2 hours in advance before you even have time, before he even comes out. That takes preparation. So if you don't have the preparation, if you don't have the skills put in place to make sure you're at the right place at the right time, we had people that couldn't get in to see the president because they were late. You had people that could not come up front and or get a picture with the president because they weren't in the right position. They weren't in the right position because the timing was off, the placing was off. All that comes with preparation, and you have to shut everything out to stay focused on what you have to do, right? So organize and structure for the win. This is something funny that kind of came to me. I looked at Genesis 1:1 and I thought, how strategic is God and how organized and timely is the God of this world and this universe? It says Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So we normally think about that and discussing it in ways of, yeah, it's about 6 days as far as the way we understand it. Also, the 7th day he rested. But we also know that one day can be like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like one day. I think that's in Peter, right? 2 Peter, I believe. And so what we know about time is, okay, God made the earth in 6 days. You mean to tell me he didn't take 2 years to make the earth? You mean to tell me he didn't say, I'm gonna do 1 year on the sun, I'm gonna give a year on the clouds, I'm gonna do 6 months on the grass? The Lord did that in 6 days. It tells us that we serve a God that is timely. We serve a God that's orderly. We serve a God that puts things in perspective. You catch my drift? A lot of times we move on our time, not God's time. 6 days to create all of this. That's amazing. So that means for us on this line, for everybody listening, it doesn't have to take you 3 years to get your book done. Get it done now. It doesn't have to take you 5 years to process through trauma and everything. If you link up with God, you can process in a different time frame. So let's talk about some things to put things in place. Say this with me after me. I'm going to say it one time and then I'm going to have you repeat it. You don't have to come off to repeat it. You can just do it at home. Planners, calendars, I'm admit people in. Planners, calendars, alarms, and alerts are my friends. Say this with me. Planners, calendars, alarms, and alerts are my friends. They're your personal accountability system. I can't get my life together. I don't know. I just can't get my time together. I'm always late to stuff. I don't know how to really structure my day. Planners, calendars, alarms, and alerts. Believe it or not, I had alarms telling me president is coming. Alarm is telling me get in the car. Alarm was telling me get downtown. I had alarms set because I'm normally timely, but I needed that extra push because this was an important moment. And I took that time to make sure I was prepared for that moment. 3 things we need to do to have a successful year before I get into scriptures or share anything else. And even before that, let's do this. Somebody or anybody and everybody, put in the chat one of the issues you have with time. What's your issue with time? Is it not fully understanding it? Is it procrastination? Is it fear of making decisions? Is it all my family's always late? This is just what we do. Is it I feel fabulous? I just want to show up and come in and stun on them. What is it? What's your relationship with time? What is one of your hangups? I see procrastination. It's not enough of it. Indecisive, yes. All those management, excellent. But if we don't manage this time, prioritization, we're going to talk about that today. Not enough. Amen. I know. And it's really not 24 hours in a day. It's like 23 point something based on science, just FYI, not because we're losing time, but that's the real actual chronological amount for time. It's like 23 point something. All right. Thank you for sharing. Bless you all. So let's do this. 3 things this year to set yourself up for success with your time. You have to have time with God. And I'm not talking lofty. I need to spend time with the Lord. No, it has to be scheduled. It has to be intentional. You have to carve that out. Jesus is so important. He's letting you every day carve it out. You carve out time to go shopping. You carve out time for girl time. We carve out time for kickback and mimosas and all kind of things. Carve out God time. It's going to change your life. If you're intentional with time with God this year, he's going to be so much more intentional with you because you're going to be still enough to even hear, to see, to sense, to understand, and be guided. I'll tell you about some examples there. Secondly, have to have time with self. You have to have time with self. I'm going to circle back and hit those 3. And the last thing, you have to have your time structured and organized. Excuse me. The devil is a lie. Sometimes you don't have to be really anal and OCD to say, I got to have every minute down to the T blocked out. You're right. You don't. but you do have to have some things set up. All right, let's go back and hit those three. Time with God. Your time with God may look like meditation. It may look like prayer time. It may look like devotion time. It may look like worship time. It doesn't have to be regimented and strict every day. It can be free flowing. It can be all throughout the day. You might want to have consecration time. You might want to do a variation of all of those. You might want to have fasting time. For example, I'll tell you how this just came into play for me. Excuse me. I work for a congressman. And I was praying about, should I go to DC for this inauguration? Should I really go up there? It's a great moment. I should be there. January 3rd is amazing. I got with God and got quiet. This is time with God example. I got with God and got quiet and said, what should I do? Should I jump and run up there and be a part of the rat race? Or should I be a part of this moment? It's so magnanimous. I'm so happy for the congressman. Or should I get still? And what should I do? The Lord said, don't go. I'm fighting myself to stay obedient, not just in my spiritual walk and in church and those responsibilities, but in life in every area, career, life, relationship, marriage, parenting, all of that. So I got quiet. The Lord told me, don't go. They had a whole week. We haven't selected a Speaker of the House. That means if I would have been in DC a day or two ahead, I would have been up there frustrated, waiting for something to be done, waiting for this congressman to be inaugurated, and nothing happened all week. I didn't have that 411, but the Lord did. And that quiet time with God gave me the direction I needed to keep running this race. Therefore, I didn't have to stress and spend a week up there. I got to meet the president, didn't even know the president was coming till the day before. Time with God is imperative. Second, time with self. Time with self, what does that look like for you? I've had like older clients, I've had younger clients. Time with self is different. Time with self might be self-care time on a Sunday. Taking 2 hours for yourself. Time with self may mean a walk in the park because I need to clear my thoughts and I don't want anybody around. Time with self may be, let me sit and watch one Netflix show because we can't Netflix and chill and execute all the time. I might watch one Netflix show because I just need a minute and I'm happy when I watch a Netflix show. Time with self is important. You also need quiet time to be still. If you're with everybody all the time, and I'm with a lot of people right now, if you're with everybody all the time and no time to see what you're even thinking or what you're wanting, it's going to stifle you. All right, next thing. And the time with self is key. If you're ever on the verge of a breakdown, frustration, you're dealing with trauma, hurt, heartache, heartbreak, any of that. If you don't take time with yourself, you do not recover well. If you're sick, dealing with illness, and I can speak to that on so many levels, you don't recover well when you don't take time for yourself. It'll protect you from a mental breakdown. It'll protect you from emotional turmoil. It will protect your space and your family that you love so you're not snapping on them. You need time with self. Lastly, you need time structured and organized. We're going pretty fast because we're only giving you snippets. This is what time structured and organized. For example, myself, this is what I'll say. Every day now, I do my top 3 each day. Instead of the long task list I used to write, I got to do this, because you know, the work never stops. Your life never stops. Being a wife or a husband never stops. Being a parent never stops. Being a career professional, none of that ever stops. So you have to put some things in perspective. Structuring and organizing your time looks different for each person. So for me right now, top 3 every day. I got a lot of things to do, but I'm going to make sure the top 3 have to be done. That's prioritization. Some people ask about that. Most of the time I do top 3 plus a bonus 2 because I'm an overachiever. So I like to do at least 5 things. It's some work items that have to be done. It's some home items that have to be done. And there might be some relational items that have to be done. But the prioritization are put your top 3 things that you have to get done before the day ends. Because you got 29 million things to do. But what are the top 3 you need to execute? So you can do a top 3. daily structure. You can do a top 3 plus 2 with the bonus 2. Or you can do blocks. Block your day out, block your time out. Okay, I got work from 8 to 4, and then I got rest time from 4 to 5. And then I got 5 to 7 for my own personal business. 7 to 8, family and home, winding down. 8 o'clock in the bed, starting to relax, getting ready to go to sleep. That's kind of blocking it. When you don't have those specific things you want to do, you can block it out. Those are just some things I wanted to share today. I know our time is winding up. Let me also give you a few scriptures if you want to look at later. Is that okay? How much time we got, Brent?
Your time is up.
All righty. I'll get some scriptures out, and maybe we'll get them out on some slides at a later time. I'm Barbara Bell. I'm a minister. Go and check my website out. I'm an author. I'm a life coach, but I'm also a wife, a mom, a friend. And so if you would like to do some coaching with me, feel free, go to www.barbarajbell.com and connect with me. Thank you for your time. Bless you all.
All right. Thank you. Put a 5 in the chat for Barb if you enjoy Barb's presentation. Excuse me. All right, we're going to get started with me. So I had Tarnisha put Habakkuk 2:2 back up because when I was doing my preparation, I was going to go in one direction, but God kept bringing me back to Habakkuk 2:2 and 3. And basically, she talked about it, but there's 2 things I want you all to get today. The first one is the 4 T's, take time to think. A lot of times we don't take the time to think. We get up in the morning, we rush in through our day, and we don't take that moment to think. The second thing is the importance of writing things down. And I'm going to tell you why these 2 things are very key to not only your 2023, but beyond. When you take time to think, do it in the morning, do it at night, or do both. Take a minute to think about what it is you want to do, what you want to achieve. Be intentional. And we always say it's funny how God lines things up, because one of the things I thought about was when you have a plan or a vision, you have to have a roadmap. And Tarnisha talked about having a roadmap. The thing about having a roadmap is it gives you the ability to know where you're going. A lot of times we may use Waze or Google's map and we say, hey, I want to go here, and it begins to give you directions, and it'll say in a quarter of a mile, turn here. When you make a plan and you write it down, that is the same thing as getting that Google directions or Waze. It's letting you know that, hey, I should be here. I can't remember if it was Barb or Anthony, it may have been Anthony, talked about the little small wins. Every day, you should do something towards your major goal. When we talk about goals, goals to me is an acronym, going out after life seriously. If you don't have goals, you're not serious about life. Because I can wake up and say, I'm gonna get all these things done, but because the mind processes over 60,000 thoughts a minute, I'll say, oh, I wanna write my book today. And before you know it, your mind said, write your second book, your third book, your fourth book. You're going to do a book tour. You're going to be on Oprah. It's going to be the book of the month. It's going to be this. And then it scares you. We talked about the fear. Tarnisha talked about fear, and it begins to cripple us so we don't get anything done. So what I like to suggest is write down everything that comes to your mind, especially if you're in business. Write down every thought. This is how you get your 5-year, your 10-year, your 15, your 20-year plan for your business. And yeah, there may be some things on there that don't make sense, but it could be an offshoot of your business. So take time to think is the first thing. Make sure you take time to think. Be intentional about thinking. Don't just sit there and say, okay, what comes to my head? No, I want to be successful. I want to be prosperous. I want to finish school. What steps do I need to complete these actions? When you think about the importance of writing things down, it says that a short pencil is better than a long memory. I know it's been many times I think of something and I'll be like, oh, I'll write it down or I'll get to it. And then that thought is gone. I have to pray and ask God to recapture that thought. So now we have phones in our hand, open a notes tab. And when a thought comes to your mind, write it down. You can explore it later, but at least write it down to make sure that you capture the thought, because it could be an answer to what you need. It's critical to spend time alone with no distractions to think before you begin to write. Some of the benefits of writing to me is it helps you to know where you're going, which we talked about the roadmap. But the other benefit of writing, it helps you to remember your victories. My wife, and you've heard me say this before, my wife is notorious, and my daughter, for writing things down. They will have books and pages of things, and they can go back and see what they crossed off, what they accomplished. Those to me are counting your victories. Sometimes we don't realize that we are victorious because we look at what we're dealing right now. But everybody on this Zoom is a victor. You're still here, you're still alive, you're still breathing, and you still have the ability to accomplish anything in life that you want. It doesn't matter where you started. It matters where you're going and when you get there. See, we always want to get so far ahead of ourselves and compare with what this person is doing and what that person is doing. Sometimes you're comparing your 20-year-old self to somebody in their 60s. When they were 20, they may have been where you were, and you may be ahead of them. Don't compare somebody towards the middle or end of their journey when you're starting the beginning of your journey. So as you move through 2023, take time to think. Make your vision plain. Make sure you have a strategy, accomplishing little wins along the way, and then set those alerts, those reminders and calendars. It's been said, the things that get scheduled are the things that get done. If you want something to be done, make sure you schedule it. Set an alert. Be intentional about your living. In one of my emails, the signature line is, have a great day on purpose. We can choose to be positive. We can choose to be negative. We can choose to be stagnant, or we can choose to take everything that God has given us. As I get ready to wrap up, one of my favorite quotes, and it just resonates with me so much. It says, when I was born, I cried and the world rejoiced. I should live my life in such a way that when I die, the world cries and I rejoice. That means when I leave this earth, I want to leave empty. I want to have poured out everything God has given to me. I want to touch as many people as God has ordained for me to touch. And I want to be done. I want to be finished, but I want to leave an impact so that my children's children's children, as Tarnisha said, they will say, look what our great-grandfather did for us. He set us up for success. So my question for you today is, will you take time to think? Will you take time to write down the vision, get the strategy, and set the alerts so that your 2023 and beyond could be the best of your life? We want to take you from where you are to where you want to go in 2023. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody again for just, first of all, for our presenters, for everybody that logged in. And this is something that I will continue the first Saturday of every month. You may see some of these people again, some of them may be regulars, but my thing is to provide resources for each and every one of us so that we can have the best life. My thing has always been, I've lived a dream life. I've done a lot of things I wanted to do, and it's no fun if you can't do it with people you love and care about. So to be able to do this with Mo, my coach, Anthony, my brother, and Barb, it was a blessing to me. So with that being said, thank you, everybody. If you need any information, I believe everybody has given their email. And if not, mine is just contact@brentkmiller.com and say, hey, I want to get in touch with Mo. I missed what she said, or Anthony or Barb, and I will connect you with them. All right. I love you all.